She's like, it's gonna be like 5 minutes. I was like, okay. 20 gifted to say poggers? I don't know. How do you even swing that? I was gonna do it. Hit that. Oh. Dude, I was gonna do it and we made eye contact and I got scared. Fuck. I still have a chance. When she brings it out here, I can be like,
oh my god.
Scared.
What?
I was watching that same video. I paused it earlier of Maya trying the Beyond Chicken Nuggets, and I just started playing it again. And I'm reading the chat on the side of her screen, and everything's pretty normal. But then there's just this one dude, 22 synapse. You have a nice body.
I have a chance. When she brings it out here,
These chatters are so fucking weird, bro.
You're the...
Not lying though.
What is this?
I mean, there was no caps.
Yeah, there's
Hold.
no syrup beyond Sprite. Complain? No, dude. At least let them know someone later might make drama. What do you mean? What? Oh, sorry. Hi. No, it's totally good. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I didn't know if you wanted me to stop.
It's fine. It's okay. Thank you. I was way too startled to incorporate the poggers, and I lost my subs. I'm sorry, I can't. Fuck. Fuck. Dude, I was so startled. Ew. What is that? You just saw me yelling at nothing. Why is it so red? He even waved at you? What do you mean? He probably thinks you're mentally unstable. Yeah. Okay, this is the meal. I got my mashed potato, my lemon cake, and my Beyond Nuggets. He asked if I wanted sauce. Honestly, I just wanted to get this interaction over with so quickly, and I didn't want him to come back because I was embarrassed, so I said I didn't want any, but I do want sauce. So I really bro, no. Mashed potatoes, 6 out of 10. I fuck with the mashed potatoes. Okay, the Beyond Nuggets. They look like a little brick. Looks like a chicken nugget. Smells like a chicken nugget. I think it tastes like a chicken nugget. If somebody gave this to me at a fast food restaurant and told me that it was chicken, I'd be like, damn, that's some like fake ass chicken. But I'd still eat it. And I'd still be like, yeah, that's a chicken nugget. I think I would give it like a 7. It's very spongy. This is what the inside looks like.
Maya hates chicken.
Can you see it?
Yo, Johnny, you're cooked for fantasy football because Stian Neural in Kick Chat just said, hey, I'm not trying to promote anything, just wanted to share what's worked for me. I've made over $40,000 in a few months using a site called OddsJam. It helps find profitable sports bets using real-time data and odd gaps. It's not luck, it's all... This is a message in my chat. I'm just saying you're cooked for fantasy.
God.
Also, Theo Nernal, welcome to the band club. Theo Nernal. Yeah, fuck Otter. Every time I stream, bro, I get so many fucking bots in my Kick Chat promoting. They either promote some shit like this, or they're promoting bots themselves, where they're like trying to sell bots on Kick. I low key thought about it. The only time I really thought about it was I thought about buying 1,000 TikTok followers so I could go live. But I mean, thank God I fucking didn't.
Couldn't have been that much money anyways.
It was like $10, bro. It was...
TikTok followers are nothing.
Yeah, but you need at least a K to go live, or you used to need 1,000 to go live and get banned like Bella. I did not watch any of these videos.
One October evening in 2016, an Arkansas farmer was sitting in his pickup truck just outside his field, and he was growing impatient. Suddenly, another car
boy.
pulled up beside him, so the farmer got out. Seconds later, he was murdered. The farmer's name was Mike Wallace. He wasn't killed over money or land. He was killed over a herbicide. A chemical designed to destroy weeds. This herbicide spread fear through rural America, turning farmers against each other, all because it belonged to a certain company.
This company's policies, they pitted farmer against farmer, and they could just send henchmen to your door. Even if you just had the wrong seeds in your field, they could send you to court and bankrupt you.
In effect, they had a farmland monopoly. They owned more than 80% of the seeds planted in the United States.
And to get this monopoly, they played the legal system,
colluding with corrupted EPA officials,
twisted scientific evidence,
appears to have been caught red-handed.
but the chemicals they were making destroyed the health of communities all over the world.
This is a video about Monsanto, one of the biggest agricultural companies in the world. Our investigation is based on publicly available documents, recordings, and third-party opinions. All sources are linked in the description. In 1942, a chemist named Franklin D. Jones made an unusual enemy: poison ivy. See, his children had a very violent reaction to the plant. They would get intense rashes and swelling when they brushed up against the ivy. So Jones wanted a way to kill it. He experimented by spraying the ivy with hormones, chemicals that could regulate the plant's functions the same way they do in humans and animals. His hope was that one of these hormones would cause it to die. Unfortunately, many had no effect, and others only made the ivy grow better. But then, one day, Jones noticed that certain samples began to show autumn colors much sooner than they should have. He watched as the vibrant hues turned to twisted shapes, and then, within days, these plants shriveled up and died. Jones
Liverpool
checked the
spent
chemical he sprayed them with.
$500 million this transfer window. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
They broke the fucking British transfer record twice.
I was gonna say they haven't played since the game against Arsenal.
You said what?
I was just looking at the games for EPL, and I was like, they haven't played since the game with Arsenal.
Yeah, they won.
Yeah, I was watching that. Which, to be fair,
That goal was crazy, bro.
yeah, like that was kind of lucky as fuck, bro.
I told you it would be like I thought Arsenal would win, honestly, but that could have went either way. Like it could have been a 0-0 easily. That was like a
Well, so every time two big teams meet up in the EPL, it's always a fucking defense, bro. Like game.
Unless City's playing, bro. City fucking sucks now.
Let's see, what is
They're
this?
genuinely shit.
Oh, wait, no, I didn't want to hit Liverpool. I wanted to look at the entire EPL. 1 win, 2 losses? That's...
Yeah, they suck ass.
They lost to Brighton and Tottenham, and then won their first game against Man City, or against Man City against Wolves.
Yeah, bro. They suck ass.
They still basically got the same roster, right? They didn't lose anyone significant.
I mean, Pep is always fucking doing stupid. Like, Grealish is gone. Well, yeah, De Bruyne is gone.
Oh wait, De Bruyne
Gundogan
is gone?
Yeah,
I
bro.
didn't even know that, to be honest.
He went to Napoli.
Fuck Napoli.
They're getting all the good players from City and shit, bro. They got Hoyland as well from United.
Oh, he let bro. People were saying, bro, he was like the next generational fucking United player, bro.
He's garbage, bro. He's garbage.
He didn't seem that bad.
He's not United level though. He's not like a top Premier League striker.
Who's United's striker now?
They got Sesko. They just bought him from Leipzig.
Lucky, ready for the fuck that is.
Young guy, like 6'5", good like athlete. He was good in Germany, but he went last in the penalty shootout. Like, that is not what you want to see from your striker.
80 million?
80, 100, something like that.
What the fuck? This sport's getting crazy, bro.
They spent a lot too. They spent a couple $100 million.
Well, yeah, they're in fucking. Yeah. They're literally one of the like what's considered like a top 6 team overall for EPL, and they're fucking in relegation range.
Yeah, bro.
Or last season.
They barely beat Burnley.
What are the new teams this season?
Leeds.
Burnley, Leeds.
Burnley and what's it called?
Sunderland.
Sunderland, yeah. Sunderland is doing good.
Sunderland is ranked 6 right now, bro.
Yeah, they got Xhaka.
Do they?
Albanian. Yeah, he went from.
The German one. Yeah, Leverkusen. Yeah. Damn, I thought he was gonna try and make his like run at Leverkusen. To be honest.
Bro, Ten Hag went there and he left right away.
that's actually funny as fuck.
He got sacked already. He already got sacked.
Who?
Ten Hag.
Really?
Yes, I don't understand why or how he got fucking sacked.
Well, I saw all the talks like in this last week about Martinez leaving Villa.
Oh, I don't think he ever went.
No, he didn't. No. But
I think United got somebody else for goalie.
I saw comments and they were like, "Bro, we'll just give Onaha some more time, bro. He's the future." No. And I was like, "Bro, like I'm not a Man U fan, but like I'll give you some free advice. Like I saw his performances." And then there was like, I saw like this compilation on Twitter, like from a Man United fan after like the talks started happening, and it was like Martinez like fail compilation or some shit like that, and it was like just like a compilation of him like missing goals, and it's like, bro, yeah, if you're a goalie, every single goalie is you can build a compilation of them allowing goals, bro. Like, no goalie is gonna be perfect.
Yeah. But, like, no, he's just straight up bad. Oh, no.
Oh, no. That's what I call him. Oh, no. What's his name? Oh, no.
And surprisingly, it was a growth hormone called 2,4-D. These plants shriveled up.
Don't leave me. Johnny, I surrender. Fuck this guy. Music segment?
Jones checked the chemical he sprayed them with, and surprisingly, it was a growth hormone called 2,4-D. It's an acid made up of a ring of 6
Let
carbons
me
and
cut my
hydrogens
fingernails,
called
bruh.
a benzene ring with an acid tail. There are also 2 chlorine atoms in the 2 and 4 positions of
Wait,
the
I
ring.
have no idea what's happening.
Shriveled up to show spraying the ivy in the description. D. Jones made an unusual enemy. Poison ivy. See, his children had a very violent reaction to the plant. They would get intense rashes and swelling when they brushed up against the ivy. So Jones wanted a way to kill it. He experimented by spraying the ivy with hormones, chemicals that could regulate the plant's functions the same way they do in humans and animals. His hope was that one of these hormones would cause it to die. Unfortunately, many had no effect and others only made the ivy grow better. But then one day, Jones noticed that certain samples began to show autumn colors much sooner than they should have. He watched as the vibrant hues turned to twisted shapes, and then, within days, these plants shriveled up and died. Jones checked the chemical he sprayed them with, and surprisingly, it was a growth hormone called 2,4-D. It's an acid.
Dude,
This began to show the way they spraying the ivy. They would get intense rashes and swelling when they brushed up against the ivy. So Jones wanted a way to kill it. He experimented by spraying the ivy with hormones, chemicals that could regulate the plant's functions the same way they do in humans and animals. His hope was that one of these hormones would cause it to die. Unfortunately, many had no effect and others only made the ivy grow better. But then one day, Jones noticed that certain samples began to show autumn colors much sooner than they should have. He watched as the vibrant hues turned to twisted shapes, and then, within days, these plants shriveled up and died. Jones checked the chemical he sprayed them with, and surprisingly, it was a growth hormone called 2,4-D. It's an acid made up of a ring of 6 carbons and hydrogens called a benzene ring with an acid tail. There are also 2 chlorine atoms in the 2 and 4 positions of the ring, which is why it's called 2,4-D. To keep things tidy, we don't have to draw all these carbons and hydrogens, but keep in mind they're still there. Jones realized this synthetic hormone was incredibly potent. Tiny amounts of it would still encourage the ivy to grow, but if he sprayed on a lot of it, 2,4-D would trigger such uncontrollable and unsustainable growth that the poison ivy would die in the process.
So effectively, he had plant cancer in a bottle.
I was just gonna say plant cancer.
Right?
Yeah, it's immediately where my brain went.
What was even more remarkable was that it only targeted the ivy. The grass around it was barely affected, like it was resistant to 2,4-D.
So over the next 2 years, Jones performed over 100 different experiments by pouring the herbicide into many different plant species. And what he figured out was that 2,4-D was really picky. It killed broad-leaved weeds like dandelions, chickweed, and poison ivy, but it virtually ignored crops. Wheat, corn, and barley were all mostly unaffected by 2,4-D because all of these are species of grass.
To improve this pickiness further, Jones also tested chemicals similar to 2,4-D. He found that adding another chlorine to the benzene ring, transforming it to 2,4,5-T, left grasses even more unscathed. He was onto something huge.
Because up until then, farmers could get rid of weeds one of 2 ways. Either you spray them with dangerous chemicals like arsenic, or you have to pull the weeds out manually. Either way, you're at a loss. But with 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T, you could spray your entire crop field, and only the weeds would die.
Jones had stumbled upon the first practically viable selective herbicides, so he was quick to patent them in 1945, just as the war was ending. After the Allies' victory, the patent secrecy restrictions in most countries were lifted, and it turned out that there were other scientists, both in the US but also in the UK, who discovered these herbicides independently.
Soon the world was blessed with modern miracle weed killers like Weedun and Weedabomb and Endoweed, all formulations of 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T herbicides.
This man is ready to kill weeds because he's going to do it the easy way.
These chemicals literally replace the hoe in everything from farm fields to railroad tracks and sidewalks. And they are essentially what gave us that beautiful green American lawn, just grass and nothing else. Because with these herbicides, Dad knew there was no longer any excuse for a weedy lawn.
By the late 1940s, the herbicide business had turned into a roughly $10 million industry, and everyone wanted in, including one of the biggest chemical companies at the time, Monsanto. One of Monsanto's main herbicide factories was in Nitro, West Virginia, where they pumped out almost a ton of 2,4,5-T a day. By 1949, Monsanto's business was booming, when all of a sudden, the plant exploded. Over 100 workers rushed out to see a dark cloud rising 40 meters above the factory. They watched as a black, stinking powder started raining down on their faces. Within hours, many of these men fell ill. First, they got headaches and nausea, but then their skin began to erupt with bumps, pustules, and acne. The lesions on some of the workers' faces got so bad that Monsanto's on-site doctors had to peel off layers of their skin in an attempt to remove them. The doctors later noted that when these men are in a closed room together, there is a strong odor. They wrote, "We believe these men are excreting a foreign chemical through their skins." But neither the doctors nor anyone else at Monsanto knew what the chemical was, because both 2,4,5-T and 2,4-D were marketed as very safe.
See, when the herbicides were first getting introduced, Jones, the original inventor, even remarked that he knew people who would accidentally drink or spray the herbicides onto themselves, and they suffered no ill health effects. They were fine. And one of the doctors, after him, remarked that, "I've personally taken 1/2 a gram of pure 2,4-D a day for 3 weeks. You judge the results." It was the 40s, so people were a bit crazy, but yeah, it seemed pretty safe.
Back at Nitro, Monsanto analyzed all the other ingredients they were using to make 2,4,5-T, but they still couldn't find what was causing their workers' skin to erupt in this way. This is where their search seemingly stopped.
With no culprit, the conditions at the plant stayed mostly the same, and Monsanto just offered their workers a choice. Either you'll keep on working with 2,4,5-T, or you can take the gate.
For many, this was no choice at all, since there were hardly any other jobs in town. So most of the workers stayed, with something inside the factory poisoning them for years to come.
It wasn't until 1957, 8 years after the explosion, that a German dermatologist, Karl Schultz, found himself treating patients with similar-looking lesions and acne. He wasn't surprised by the symptoms because many of these patients worked in 2,4,5-T factories around Hamburg. But when Schultz would test these ingredients from the instruction list on rabbit ears he had at the lab, he would get no reactions. And this puzzled him. How do these ingredients do nothing in his own tests, but at the same time cause these painful skin disorders inside 2,4,5-T factories?
Well, to make 2,4,5-T, you start with tetrachlorobenzene, a benzene ring with 4 chlorine atoms attached to it. These chlorine atoms are very electronegative, so they want to steal electrons from nearby atoms. Luckily for them, the 6 carbons in the benzene ring are all sharing their electrons in these fuzzy donut-shaped clouds around the ring. That's what this circle in the diagram is meant to represent. The chlorine atoms pull on this electron cloud, bringing it closer to themselves, and as a result, the carbons in the benzene ring become slightly positively charged, and the chlorines slightly negatively charged. Now, if you heat up tetrachlorobenzene with sodium hydroxide, one of the negative hydroxide ions will want to bind to one of the slightly positively charged carbons in the benzene ring. And to do that, it forces out the chlorine atom, taking its place. This creates trichlorophenol, or TCP, a key ingredient in making the herbicide. From here, if you keep the reaction at 170 degrees Celsius, you can add a series of chemicals to grow out this oxygen tail into an acid, giving you 2,4,5-T.
On paper, this is all there is. If you follow the exact steps here and control the conditions, then none of these ingredients will explain the horrible face eruptions that the Nitro workers were experiencing. But Schultz wasn't satisfied with this. Maybe the conditions aren't perfect. Maybe there is something in this process, some secret reaction that is contaminating the whole chemical supply.
Ideally, the industrial process of transforming tetrachlorobenzene into 2,4,5-T should happen at 170 degrees Celsius, but if the temperature gets any higher, even just a few degrees higher, there is suddenly enough energy in the system for 2 molecules of TCP to fuse together. This creates a molecule commonly known as dioxin. It forms only in trace amounts, so you might expect to end up with roughly 1 or 2 molecules of dioxin for every 100,000 molecules of 2,4,5-T. It seemed too small to be a problem. Nevertheless, Schultz decided to test it. He took some TCP, this time contaminated with trace amounts of dioxin, and rubbed it into his own skin. And he got the same acne as the workers at the nitro plant.
Once Schultz realized the threat here, he immediately contacted all the big chemical producers in Germany. And one of these German companies even sent letters to both Monsanto and Dow, the other big herbicide producer in the US, and they warned them that the acne-causing effects are stemming from pollution through byproducts, referring to dioxin. They even listed when exactly during the process the contamination was happening and what to do to prevent it. Yet Monsanto denied ever getting these letters, and Dow said they somehow misfiled them. Regardless, it was obvious to both companies that something in the production of 2,4,5-T was poisoning their workers. But Monsanto didn't warn the public about the danger, perhaps because the herbicides were about to make them a whole lot of money.
In 1961, the president of South Vietnam was at war with the newly founded Viet Cong. This guerrilla force was set on overthrowing his rule and uniting Vietnam under a communist regime. The Viet Cong were masters of the jungle. They laid deadly traps for their enemies and ambushed them using underground tunnels. South Vietnam was losing the war, so the president faced a choice: either accept defeat in the jungle or destroy it.
Hey, Paul?
He reached out to his allies, the US,
They
and
Paul?
asked them for help. And soon they came in flying with thousands of barrels of herbicide. This was the start of Operation Ranch Hand. The US's herbicide of choice was Agent Orange, a 50-50 split of 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T, supplied by the US's biggest chemical manufacturers. The largest supplier by volume was Monsanto.
Why would they use an herbicide, though? Don't you think that for clearing the jungles? Because herbicide only affected weeds and not grass. And I mean, they never said anything about trees, but I would assume not trees.
Agent Orange ravaged through South Vietnam, destroying 20% of the jungles. And civilians and soldiers on both sides got sprayed with it too, mostly by accident. The government assured them that it is not toxic to humans, animals, or drinking water, but Monsanto and Dow knew otherwise. See, during Ranch Hand, they secretly exchanged information on their herbicides, and in one of the letters, Dow acknowledged that dioxin, which had been contaminating 2,4,5-T for years, was the most toxic compound they have ever experienced, and that even trace amounts of it caused incapacitating acne.
By 1965, it was obvious that both companies understood what sort of threat dioxin was. And yet, there are no records that Monsanto or Dow ever sent communication to the US government warning them about the threat.
In fact, Dow's vice president reportedly said, if the government learns about this, the whole industry will suffer. As a result, the US sprayed South Vietnam with 72 million liters of Agent Orange, within which was just 80 liters of dioxin. And even though that doesn't seem like much, the damage was irreparable. Civilians and soldiers on both sides suffered from skin diseases and cancer. Children were born with physical and mental disabilities. By some estimates, as many as 3 million people suffered from the effects of Agent Orange. This outraged the public. In 1967, 5,000 scientists signed a petition to the president condemning his use of the herbicides. And Monsanto was under scrutiny too, because regulators were catching on to the dioxin contained in 2,4,5-T. The herbicide was about to be phased out, compromising their bottom line. Monsanto needed a miracle, and they needed it fast. Their idea was to replace 2,4,5-T with a safer herbicide, but after 9 years of research, they weren't getting anywhere. All of the scientists in the agricultural department referred to this new initiative as a dead area.
One of the last remaining scientists on the project was John E. France, and by early 1970, he was about to give it up too. But before abandoning the project, France decided to do one final set of experiments. So he thought up 19 possible acids that could maybe work as herbicides and decided to test them out. He prepped the first herbicide, but nothing happened. The plant was completely fine and the herbicide had no activity. Then he decided to test the second herbicide, and he applied it to a plant. It was 10 times more powerful than any herbicide the team had ever seen. And allegedly, it made the plants super nasty. It made the plants super nasty. Oh, that was disgusting.
This miracle compound was glyphosate, a phosphonic acid group on one end and a carboxyl group on the other, with a nitrogen, hydrogen, or amino group in between.
To make sure it was commercially feasible, France and his colleagues set up tests in these outdoor fields. And as one of the scientists was getting back to these test sites, he saw the results from the plane. It was clear as day. All he could do is write Eureka across the performance report. It was the best herbicide they'd ever seen.
So what made it so great at killing plants? Well, for plants to survive, they use a chemical pathway, a series of reactions to create 3 important amino acids, acids without which they die. This process is known as the shikimate pathway because it starts with shikimic acid, named after the Japanese shikimi flower. During one of the steps, 2 acids, S3P and PEP, need to transform into a third compound, but they can only do that with the help of an enzyme called EPSPS, which catalyzes the reaction and helps the 2 molecules combine. However, if glyphosate is present during this reaction, it will begin to mimic PEP because they have a very similar geometry. And because of that, glyphosate actually binds first to EPSPS, blocking it from acting as a catalyst. Now, the acids can't transform and the whole shikimate pathway is destroyed. Without it, there are no amino acids and the plant dies. Crucially, the shikimate pathway is unique to plants and things like bacteria and fungi. Humans and animals don't have it. In fact, we have to eat foods that contain these 3 amino acids.
But for Monsanto, this was good news because they could market that glyphosate targets an enzyme found in plants, but not in humans or pets. So after decades of toxic products, Monsanto finally had one which they were sure was safe. And research was also showing that after you spray glyphosate, the microorganisms in the soil break it down into safe byproducts. It was biodegradable. Glyphosate was perfect, so they wasted no time in getting it on the market. In 1974, Monsanto had a new hit herbicide, Roundup.
Roundup is better. It goes through the plant to kill it, tops and rhizomes.
My roots hurt real bad. Hank?
No root, no weed, no problem.
Farmers loved it because, unlike
Old commercials are insane.
glyphosate killed every weed, not just broadleaf ones, but grassy too. It allowed them to practice something called no-till farming. See, usually, to get rid of weeds, you'd have to plow up the entire field before planting anything, and that would hurt the soil, and it was also just a lot of work. But with Roundup, what you do is you spray the whole field, everything dies, and then you just plant directly into the residue. It was easier, faster, and cheaper. And Roundup was safe to use too. They marketed it as safer than table salt and safe enough to drink, basically.
Roundup can be used where kids and pets will play and breaks down into natural materials.
By the late 80s, Monsanto was selling 7 million pounds of Roundup and making $1 billion each year. And they weren't going to share a penny of that money with anyone.
See, with other herbicides, like for example Alichlor, which was moderately popular at the time, you can tweak the molecule a bit here or there and you still get a very potent weed killer. So if you patented a specific herbicide, your competitors could still use hundreds of its close relatives, which would still work perfectly well without violating your patent rights. But glyphosate was different. If you were to modify the molecule in any way, its herbicidal properties were completely gone. So Monsanto could rest easy knowing that until the year 2000, they would be the only ones able to sell it.
But there was a little problem with glyphosate. See, unlike 2,4-D, which only killed broadleaved weeds, Roundup kills everything. I sprayed some of my own houseplants here, and well, you can see the results. Chances are, if it's green, Roundup is going to kill it. And this was a problem because farmers could only really spray Roundup on their field twice, either right before planting the seeds or right after a harvest. But for Monsanto, this wasn't as much of a problem. See, they thought if we could somehow make the crops like soybean or corn resistant to Roundup, well then farmers could spray it on their field during the whole year and it would keep killing the weeds, but not the Roundup resistant crops. Crops which Monsanto could sell them. And as a result, they would have a complete monopoly over both the herbicide and the seed supply.
Monsanto's idea was this. If glyphosate blocks the EPSPS enzyme in plants, then they could edit the plant's DNA so that the cells just create more EPSPS. If there's enough of the enzyme, then glyphosate can't block all of it, and so the plant can still survive. They tried this out on petunias, but it didn't work. The flowers would survive a tiny amount of Roundup, but a normal dose would still kill them.
Monsanto was kind of stumped, and they didn't have time to rest because while glyphosate and Roundup were under their patents, a Roundup-resistant seed wasn't, and their competitors knew this. In 1985, a company called Calgene published a paper in Nature showing
all
that
about
they made tobacco
fucking money.
slightly resistant to glyphosate. The paper showed promise, but more importantly, it made it clear to Monsanto. Calgene published a paper in Nature showing that they made tobacco slightly resistant to glyphosate. The paper showed promise, but more importantly, it made it clear to Monsanto that they were running out of time. The researchers were desperate, calling this patent race the Manhattan Project.
And then one of the engineers had a genius idea. Monsanto had a ton of these factories where they were converting phosphate into glyphosate. And they had a lot of sludge leaching out of these factories. So if there was anything living around these factories in this sludge, there was a chance it was resistant to glyphosate. So the researchers went to one of these factories, scooped it out, and found a strain of Salmonella in there, which was kind of surprising to them because Salmonella usually relies on the shikimate pathway. But here it was thriving in glyphosate.
Monsanto's scientists isolated the Salmonella's genetic sequence and found that it had evolved a way to mutate the shape of its EPSPS enzyme so that glyphosate couldn't bind to it and block the shikimate pathway.
The scientists took that Salmonella DNA and loaded it onto a gene gun. Not this one here, but it's actually surprisingly similar.
See, they placed thousands of these Salmonella DNA strips onto microscopic gold particles in the gene gun, which they then fired into the plant tissue all over at 1,400 kilometers per hour. The gold particles would bombard the plant cells, and some of them would make it into the nucleus. Here, the DNA detaches from the gold and it integrates itself into the plant's chromosomes. Now, every time this cell divides, it copies over the new EPSPS gene.
Monsanto scientists planted seeds with these genes out in the field and sprayed them with Roundup. But nothing happened. The soybean was resistant. Monsanto made sure to act quickly. Soon after, they found even more potent bacteria, and they were able to make other crop species immune too.
And by 1998, they had patents for glyphosate-resistant canola, corn, and cotton. They called this lineup of GMO seeds Roundup Ready. These Roundup Ready seeds took over the market in an instant. Already by 2001, more than 70% of all soybeans grown in the US were Monsanto's, with Roundup making them more than $2.5 billion a year. It was the best-selling agricultural product ever.
And every farmer could join in on this Roundup plus Roundup Ready revolution just by signing Monsanto's technology use agreement. I got one of these agreements from 2011 here, and I just wanted to read some terms. So the grower, or the farmer who accepts and wants to use these seeds, agrees to not save or clean any crop produced from the seed for planting, and the farmer also agrees not to supply the seed produced from the seed to anyone for planting. Meaning you cannot save the seeds you bought last year to plant this year, and you also cannot share or sell your seeds to anyone else. Here's another one. The farmer agrees to identify and allow Monsanto and its representatives access to the land farmed by the grower or the farmer, and this allows Monsanto to examine and take samples of the crops, crop residue, or the seeds located therein. And here's a final one. The grower accepts the terms of the following notice requirement by signing this agreement or by opening a bag of seeds. So you're agreeing to these terms even just by opening a bag of seeds. If you thought that this contract was crazy, you should see the stuff that we sign up to today online.
I have some terms and conditions here from a social media website. Here's what it says. We may collect 60% off. You can also in the disclaimers.
Not to use Monsanto's seeds and herbicide?
The thing was, you have Roundup Ready seeds and you spray them with Roundup, everything's going to be fine on your end. But your neighbor doesn't have Roundup Ready seeds, so if your herbicide drifts over to your neighbor's side, it's going to kill his plants. So neighbors were concerned, thinking their crops were going to be lost, so they got Roundup Ready as well, and soon enough, Monsanto controlled the whole market.
And the control didn't end there. As one seed grower from Ohio remembers it, Monsanto's salesmen would tell people they could either sign on or they'd all be out of business within the next 2 years. Monsanto was going to dominate the entire seed industry, and there was nothing anybody could do about it.
So hundreds of thousands of farmers signed the deal, and it wasn't a good one.
One evening in late July 2004, an Indiana farmer named Dave Runyon was relaxing at home when two men knocked on his door.
They led me to believe that they were doing a survey for a magazine. They wanted to know what kind of crops I planted. They wanted to know what kind of herbicides I used, the seed I bought and purchased and used.
Runyon wasn't interested, so he decided to shut the door when he heard one of the men say, "I think he's guilty." Runyon didn't know what they meant, but a few months later, he got a letter from Monsanto saying that he had 7 days to turn over all of his business records to the company.
He was shocked because Runyon was one of the few farmers that never signed a contract with Monsanto, and yet here they were threatening to sue him for patent infringement.
Apparently, someone had tipped Monsanto off that Runyon had been replanting their seeds illegally. And farmers all across the country were getting the same types of letters.
Honestly, it's kind of hard to overstate how much Monsanto tried to control farmers. They sent private detectives and ex-cops to inspect farms all over the US, waving their terms and conditions of the contract into farmers' faces to let them onto their property. They hired plane and helicopter pilots to survey the farmlands from above for signs of infringement.
How do you even determine that?
Threats. How could people possibly stand up to them?
And they even had a company hotline, 1-800-ROUNDUP, that farmers could call to snitch on their neighbors.
It still exists. 1-800-ROUNDUP.
You're calling them now?
I think I got it right.
If you have information about the misuse of seed or a compliance issue, please press 3.
That phone number was in existence at the same time that we're talking about there, where people could rat out, their neighbor.
As Runyon himself puts it, there is much mistrust in the countryside today. You never know who might report on you.
Yeah,
you could actually willfully
Americans
plant
versus
unauthorized seed in
capitalists. Holy
somebody's land
fuck.
if you want to destroy them.
Now, in 2010, Monsanto responded to farmers' concerns about these investigations and released a commitment statement regarding their patents. They mentioned their pledge to transparency and ethical behavior, properly introducing themselves with
the same
display
company that
information, and not
fucking
exercising
blistered their
patent rights
entire
when
crew.
only trace amounts of their seed is present in a farmer's field.
And while Monsanto ultimately ended up letting Runyon go, by 2013, they sued over 400 farmers, raking in over $20 million. Many of these farmers went bankrupt, and countless others settled with Monsanto out of court, even if they were innocent, because they just couldn't risk the legal fees.
They were actually influencing radio stations at one point, and the radio stations would publicly say the name of the people who were saving Roundup seeds on air.
It sounds like a supervillain plot, really.
Yeah, well, people actually started calling them Monsatan, so... This culture of fear and paranoia turned neighbors against each other, especially in communities where...
I would have just been like the ultimate troll, because how can they track the seeds one to one? They can't. You say that you destroyed them, you say that you didn't destroy them, they find you have a stash, whatever. And obviously if you're selling them or giving them away, it's even riskier because they'll tie the illegal seeds back to, oh, this person has a relation to you, or even there might be communications, or the person that you sold them to might snitch. So I would just go to the middle of the forest or middle of a public field and plant them, and then Monsanto will be pulling up Why the fuck are our crops next to a playground on public property? That's a
Some
good
farmers
idea.
didn't wish to use Monsanto's herbicide system. One of those farmers was Mike Wallace.
See, Mike had a field of soybean here that wasn't resistant to Monsanto's herbicide. But his neighbor, who was also growing soybean, did use Monsanto's system. Now, to be clear, this herbicide wasn't glyphosate itself. It was Monsanto's other herbicide product called dicamba, but it was still packaged in this Roundup and Roundup Ready system. Now, one day, Mike noticed that some of his soybean was dying, and he suspected it was the herbicide from the neighboring farm drifting over, killing his soybean. And he could tell this was the case because the weeds underneath the neighbor's soybean were dying, allegedly because of the herbicide. And he believed this caused him around $100,000 in damages, and the neighbor denied that it was his fault. Now, the tensions between the two farms grew, so Mike wanted to chat with one of the workers from the farm to discuss the situation. They met on a country field road near both farms, and what happened next isn't really clear. Things got sour quickly. Allegedly, Mike grabbed the worker's arm, so the worker pulled back and pulled out his gun, shooting Wallace until the gun was empty.
Similar kinds of tragedies were
That's
happening all
suspicious
over
as
the world.
fuck.
Monsanto infiltrated farming communities in India, Argentina, Canada, Brazil, and even Vietnam. By the 2010s, they were an almost untouchable monopoly.
Then out of the blue, on March 20th, 2015, an independent science panel called the International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC, came out with this, a paper saying glyphosate is probably carcinogenic to humans.
The most popular weed killer in the world may cause cancer.
IARC's classification of
That is
as a
bad PR. That is bad PR right there.
In human cells.
This came as a shock to everyone, especially Monsanto.
They don't know how IARC could reach a conclusion such as this one.
See, other big health organizations like the US Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and even the World Health Organization, which is actually the parent organization to IARC, both claimed that glyphosate posed no carcinogenic risk to humans and animals.
I think the IARC designation took the public by such huge surprise because Monsanto had really done such a good job for 40 plus years convincing the world that this stuff was safer than table salt.
Monsanto was furious about this ruling,
Fucking
so on the
love.
same day, they sent a scathing letter to the World Health Organization complaining how this classification needs to be rectified immediately. They claimed IARC chose to disregard dozens of studies and that conclusions on glyphosate must be non-biased, thorough, and based on quality science. Soon after, 5 review papers came out bashing the IARC classification and criticizing their decision.
So why would IARC disagree with all the other agencies, and why
'Cause they're
would
not
they
getting
ignore
paid.
so many studies?
Because they're not getting paid.
Well, this is exactly the question California lawyer Brent Wisner
Because they're not getting paid. I can already
Wisner
answer
had
that
been
question.
looking into Monsanto for a while now. Allegedly, Roundup was causing a decline in the bee population, so he thought he could make a case out of it. But one day, one of Wisner's colleagues told him that her cousin-in-law had been using Roundup on his farm for as long as she could remember. And then, both he and his dog developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, or NHL, a type of cancer targeting the lymphatic system. And he died in late 2015.
He didn't stop using it until he was too weak to do anything. He didn't think there was any danger with Roundup.
See, the IARC paper that came out saying glyphosate is a probable carcinogen actually pointed out that the strongest evidence was for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And reports of Roundup users getting diagnosed with NHL were popping up more frequently. This seemed like more than just a coincidence. Wisner thought he had a case, but Monsanto was a corporate giant he couldn't tackle alone, so he teamed up with other lawyers and also an investigative journalist who'd been reporting on Monsanto for decades.
So there's a lot to write about. Spent a lot of time at Monsanto headquarters. It became pretty clear this company really doesn't care about its customers.
Right, okay.
Together, this group of lawyers started a lawsuit against Monsanto, and they forced them to hand over their company documents.
Monsanto had to comply, and so the lawyers got access to their internal emails, memos, and safety studies.
Saying one thing publicly and saying something completely different internally. The duplicity, the deception is just, jaw-dropping, really.
In 1983, Monsanto submitted a glyphosate toxicology study to the EPA to get it classified as safe.
Right.
Monsanto submitted a glyphosate toxicology study to the EPA.
Deception is just, jaw-dropping, really.
In 1983, Monsanto submitted a glyphosate toxicology study to the EPA to get it classified as safe. But the data was showing that mice receiving higher doses of glyphosate were developing rare kidney tumors.
The EPA was obviously worried with this, and they wanted to classify glyphosate as a possible human carcinogen. So they asked Monsanto to do more studies.
And Monsanto fought back against that. No, you just need to trust what we're telling you, you're reading the data wrong, et cetera, et cetera.
Monsanto wouldn't comply, and they pushed back against the EPA until 1989, when the EPA suddenly changed its mind. They said a repeat of the mouse oncogenicity will not be required at this time. And instead, in 1991, the EPA classified glyphosate as having evidence of non-carcinogenicity for humans. The cancer concern in mice was never made public, and this new classification certainly helped push Roundup sales, at least until more independent research came in.
See, one of the most influential research papers on Roundup actually came out in the year 2000. It was the safety evaluation and risk assessment of the herbicide Roundup and its active ingredient glyphosate for humans, commonly just called Williams, Crows, and Monroe, after its authors. This was the landmark paper on glyphosate safety, which concluded that Roundup herbicide does not pose a health risk to humans.
This paper was cited over 1,200 times, which is a lot.
And it was considered then by regulators the foundational research paper to say that glyphosate was safe. This independent paper.
Except the paper wasn't independent at all.
See, Monsanto's director of the toxicology group, William Haydens, was listed on the paper as someone who provided scientific support. So, in a 2017 deposition, Wisner and his fellow lawyers decided to ask Haydens about it.
Were your contributions, in your view, to the Williams paper substantial?
No, they were not. As I said, they were editorial just to make it easier to read.
But here's how Haydens referred to his involvement in the paper internally. I have sprouted several new gray hairs during the writing of this thing, or I'll strangle Crows or Williams if they ask for any rewrites. And much later, we would be keeping the cost down by us doing the writing, and they would just edit and sign their names, so to speak. Recall, that is how we handled William, Crows, and Monroe.
And they celebrated when it was finally done. You see in their internal documents, they talk about how this is going to be our defense, glyphosate around the world.
The patterns of Monsanto's manipulation were just popping up everywhere. They tried to change glyphosate cancer classifications at different agencies. They seemingly colluded with corrupt EPA officials. Cancer classifications at different agencies. They seemingly colluded with corrupt EPA officials to try and kill opposing research, and they ghost wrote safety studies.
By mid-2017, Wisner released all of these internal documents to the public, now known as the Monsanto Papers. People were furious.
Newly released docs show Monsanto executives colluding with corrupted EPA officials
who tried to influence media and science reports.
Monsanto appears to have been caught red-handed.
We have a paper trail that goes back to the 1980s. Stakes for Monsanto are extremely high.
Soon, lawyers were overwhelmed with calls from cancer patients who used Roundup and got diagnosed with NHL. They wished to be included in the lawsuit. By the end of the year, more than 3,000 victims had signed onto the case.
Oh man, they got
Monsanto
cooked.
tried to do everything to dismantle these carcinogen claims.
You remember the 5 independent papers that came out bashing the IARC decision to call glyphosate a probable carcinogen? Well, the main review article there was ghostwritten by Monsanto.
So you could see this paper getting edited and changed by people who worked for Monsanto. And it's been frustrating to see journals basically at every step of the way, declining to retract.
That paper is still online today, and Monsanto went all the way to discredit anyone who was opposing their view with something called their let nothing go strategy.
Let nothing go was essentially like, let nothing go. Somebody tweets online, Roundup causes cancer. You don't let that go. Like, you have an onslaught of people responding to that. They had whole training operations where they would bring in nutritionists and academics and other people to train them, like, what to say and how to say it.
Do not believe
that glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
You want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually, but not really, but
not really.
I know it wouldn't hurt
I mean,
me.
if you say so, I have some glyphosate.
No, I'm not stupid.
But they very much became an army
What?
that Monsanto could deploy when a news article came out, for instance.
Are we gonna get some comments like under this video that that are actually written by Monsanto?
I wouldn't be surprised.
But all of the confusion Monsanto tried to create around glyphosate wasn't enough. By the summer of 2018, the truth was out and over 11,000 plaintiffs filed lawsuits against Monsanto. This was going to destroy them, but unfortunately, Monsanto had an escape plan. Just as the first lawsuit against them was starting, they signed an acquisition deal with German chemical giant Bayer.
Monsanto cashed in, the executives rode off into the sunset, and Bayer was left holding the bag.
Why would Bayer buy Monsanto if it's so obvious that they have, hundreds of thousands of plaintiffs waiting for a verdict? Why would a company do something like that?
Well, I think that's right. The big question that the investors are asking or have asked, why in God's name did you do this? Like, why did you do this? I think it was Wall Street Journal that had a headline, worst acquisition in history or something like that.
Bayer's stock tanked immediately after the acquisition, and things only got worse for them. A few months later, the first case against the Monsanto-Bayer company went to trial.
Man,
The
you just
plaintiff
tied your
was
name to a
Dwayne Lee
trap.
Johnson, who had developed non-Hodgkin lymphoma after accidentally getting doused with Roundup at work. The jury, faced with evidence from the Monsanto papers, sided with Johnson, awarding him $289 million in damages, and Bayer had to pay up. By 2025, Bayer had to settle more than 100,000 cancer lawsuits for the damages caused by Monsanto's Roundup, amounting to over $10 billion in settlements.
Holy shit.
Monsanto, which is now owned by Germany's Bayer, denies any wrongdoing.
And they don't accept that Roundup could have caused the plaintiff's cancer. So after all this publicity and scandal, how dangerous is Roundup really?
My question has always been, if it doesn't cause cancer and it's not dangerous and there's no real risk to human health, why in God's name would Monsanto have to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to create ghost-written studies and hire PR companies to ghostwrite articles online? And why would you have to engage in so much deception if you truly had a safe product, right?
Well, according to IARC, one of the biggest concerns with glyphosate is genotoxicity. Some studies have shown that if you get overexposed to glyphosate, like many farmers would, then the chemical might substantially damage the DNA in your cells, which is a common mechanism of action for many carcinogens. And other studies have actually pointed to the shikimate pathway. Again, we don't use it, but the bacteria in our gut do. So if you ingest trace amounts of glyphosate, for example, through your food, it could disrupt your gut's microbiome.
If you can disrupt the enzyme in the microflora in your gut, the EPSP enzyme, the synthase, it could have all sorts of effects.
Now, IARC never specified at what dose glyphosate actually becomes dangerous, just that overall glyphosate is a probable carcinogen. And to put it into context, the other things in the same classification category are eating red meat or high temperature frying or pulling a night shift. But these are lower than the number one category, which is a certain carcinogen. And here, of course, you have alcohol and tobacco and sunlight. And to give you context for our previous episode on forever chemicals, PFOA was a category 1, so a certain carcinogen. But PFOS is actually a category 2B, which is lower than glyphosate, at only a possible carcinogen.
From the data I've seen, glyphosate doesn't seem to be a particularly potent carcinogen, but high exposure to glyphosate is certainly associated with a modest increase in your ability to get certain types of cancers. And people who have higher exposures are clearly at higher risk.
Yeah.
However, the EPA and many other organizations like the European Food Safety Authority still disagree with the IARC and claim that glyphosate isn't a likely carcinogen.
But the courts in the United States have repeatedly told the EPA that they're not doing a proper analysis, they're not doing a proper assessment of glyphosate, they're not following their own rules.
You said like something...
Interesting. I need some slop now. This isn't slot, bro. This guy's just sleeping too. Nas. Saving the night.
I didn't mean that. And then I hate Sunny. Sunny always making some shit weird, bro. Like she let it process. She know I ain't mean it, and then she gonna like she. Oh my god.
You know what you meant, bro.
That's not what I meant. Like, oh my god, bro. And look at you, bro. Nigga trying to get his facial reaction.
Tony was not the one that made this weird, bro. That was you. That was you that made it weird.
I just meant since Kaichu her ops, bro. It would be funny. That's what. I meant.
Then you should have said that, bro.
No, because why would I say that?
Sonny, you gotta be in it.
Why would I see? He's the one that made it weird.
No, yeah, you. I did not say it like that.
What are my Twitch drops looking at, bro?
Yeah, Subby.
Back in the day.
This a good pick. That's a good
Dude,
pick.
I was really getting flicks back then, bro.
We're only at 54% of the skin. Dude, who does this shit, bro?
You're chopped. You look like what's that dog in that it's not a dog. I don't think it's a dog. Ah, fuck. I don't know how to explain that. I'm already done. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's the pumpkin day.
These good days, bro. These was good days. This is a tough flick too. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Walk out, Nas. Don't get fun. Shaggy, nigga? Not Scooby Doo Shaggy. No, it's like a dog. Bro, get off my dick, bro. It is 2 a.m. This whole stream gonna be intro. Wait, what is this?
You don't know what this is? This Hunter x Hunter. You haven't seen Hunter x Hunter?
It says Sword Art Online.
Oh.
What Sword Art is this?
Alimization. Alimization. This shit's some ass.
What's wrong with this one?
They sold after the first season.
Should we do episode? Oh, we can't do episode 1 Sokoki's right now. It's too late.
Was good too. I like the one
It's
after
too
this.
late for
This was good.
Sokoki, bro.
This is the newest one? Oh, hell no.
How the fuck is they still in the game, nigga?
Dead
Then they get out,
ass.
nigga.
And then they ass gonna go back in.
This is peak.
Plus, I
remember
need to-
this is like the first time. It's like the first time in the show that they actually like really hurt a nigga.
Oh, we got some One Piece
It was like
fans.
the sharp nigga, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the knives, the ones that Vegapunk, he took the
Chad, what was it called where you could transform your body?
There's like a word.
Don't.
For
The
the
devil
fruit.
fruits. Yeah, the Logia. Logia is when like you can transform into like your whole.
That's not a
So
Logia.
the sand nigga's a Logia.
Paramecia.
Oh,
Wasn't
so
he a Paramecia?
Yeah.
Because he can only turn some of his body.
oh, so
And
he
then
got the
zone-
weak version.
Yeah, and then the zone is like the animal. Zone is where the ones like
Chopper.
Yeah. So there's Zone, and then there's Luffy. He's like a Paramecia, but like the new Lord drops, so he low-key a hybrid.
How is he not a Logia if he's stretchy all over his body?
Cause he's only stretchy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so he's not rubber.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a Logia is like a nigga who has fire. He can like transform into like lava. You know what I'm saying?
So
that's like Logia. Logia is like you can transform into lava. Like you just become lava.
So a Logia
Or you become
is
wind.
the sand.
Yo.
Yeah.
He was a Logia?
Yeah.
Chat, stop spoiling.
He got cooked.
That nigga.
I mean,
oh.
nigga, his weakness is water. He got fucked.
Trash ass weakness, bro. Dead ass. Nigga, trash ass weakness.
You're gay. Oh yeah, Logi's an element. Stop spoiling. Bro, I'm not even spoiling for real.
That's like you explaining how
It's
chakra
like
works.
mid, yeah. It's like mid spoilers. It's
は
like,
まだまだ強くなれる。
Damn. It's like the first time in the show a nigga actually got hurt.
本当に
no, but niggas was getting
Oh my
fucked up
God.
right here.
That's why I didn't like watching it up until here because I wasn't feeling shit. I was like, oh fuck, this
成
nigga
長
really
しちま
hurt.
いやがった。次は
Damn, they really came a long way. This nigga Zoro was dead ass having death fights with bumps. Like this nigga's a bum. This nigga's actually a bum, bro. Look at him.
参ったぜ。
I gotta catch up on One Piece, bro.
I might start watching it. I might start watching it. I might put it on every time I'm about to go to sleep. Every
that
night
shit
before
peak.
bed. What the fuck?
Oh, that's that new shit, bro. Be careful.
Oh shit. Hold on, let me
That's that
chill.
new shit. Hey! Nigga, gay, nigga.
I didn't even see this shit. I'm sorry. Did you just watch this? Oh shit.
One Punch Man?
Girl in the
I didn't finish.
Hold on, they was boxing in this?
Fucking anime is this?
This shit good?
It's pretty good. Like, it's like a top show. It's like a top. That's like a top 20 show.
Dead ass?
Yeah.
What about the one with the?
What show even is that? Oh, yes?
Look, I got tan in the streamer games. I didn't know that I could get a tan, bro. You look good. No, actually, you look
Hey,
you look good. Chill out. You look so good. You don't want to jump in the pool, shirtless. I can't.
Yo, bro. Hey,
What did 3 to miss
wait,
said?
what was y'all know? Not Darling in the Franks. It was the robot one, bro.
86.
Nah. Evangelion. Yeah.
Right now.
Evangelion.
Yeah, I want to watch that one too. That shit looks so goddamn old. I can't watch
That shit was sad.
I can't watch that old ass shit.
I seen one part that shit was
weak
sad.
ass old shit. That whack ass show.
Nas gotta take up Ron's offer to maintain his stream during the night for Subathon. You already have the night shift scheduled. No, I'm down, bro. I'm down. We Yugs. Is he not dropping the album on Apple Music, or did I mess up there, bro? How do I?
Yeah.
I might, bro. I might. Did you see this? This shit was tough. Hey. We gotta make more videos. This is our last video? We gotta make more videos. Do they know the new one that's dropping?
Yeah.
I don't want that many friends in the
First place.
Most people are with the
This shit's tough. They actually cooked, bro. That's the new album so fire. Had this shit on repeat all week. Damn, y'all got me over drinking Rihanna. Damn. Appreciate y'all boys, bro. That is. Appreciate y'all boys. Archeon. Hey, yo.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, yo, bro. Oh, yeah. On top of cars. Hey, bro, on top of cars. On top of cars. Most underrated anime?
What's this? Hold on now, this is kind of fire.
This do look kind of tough.
Wait, what is this?
Hold on.
Now look kind of lame.
Why? What the fuck?
Okay, now look tough.
Damn, I don't know about singing tonight.
What that shit?
Okay, I might watch that, bro.
See, I don't even know how to say this name. How do you say that shit?
Fuck, I think it's called just
Twin Star Exorcist?
I don't know the Japanese.
How long is it? If it's short, I'll watch this shit tonight. I'll probably watch it on the Discord after stream.
Boy, what the fuck is this?
You should goon to me. What the fuck?
Type of TikTok niggas making them.
Bruh, hold on.
What? Nigga,
No,
yeah,
not
bro.
hold.
No.
I'm not saying
no.
hold.
You said hold on.
No, bro. I was gonna flame her shit. I was gonna clown her, but never mind. You just made it weird. I was gonna clown her, but the nigga just made it weird, bro. He typed in a comment and said, Repsy typed in a comment and said this.
What did he say?
He said, might drop tonight. Good luck, Mafia.
Nigga said good luck, Mafia. Nigga, what the fuck?
No, bro. That nigga be on some different shit. He like, no, bro. What's up with that nigga? Something be up with him. Zoro versus
Oh,
King?
you don't want to see this.
I don't?
No, this that.
Oh, shit. Bro, stop spoiling this shit, bro.
It's that new shit.
Have y'all seen this yet? Oh, yeah. I have seen this through the comp. This is cool, but, like, how would How would we use this? You know what I'm saying? I like this one. This one's tough. I like all of these.
Dude, yeah, I think they're all good. They're actually all fine.
Besides this one, I like this one.
Yeah, they could be shirts, something like that. Let's go.
Yeah, these could be on some shirt shit. Wait, does anybody have that multicolored one? Anybody have that multicolored one?
I'm the only king that could say.
What?
This for the homies out for proud West, put a 50 when we was still on EBT. I'm trying to move the whole gang out of hood to the family, the whole team gon' eat. Ain't about blood, about money, this family ties. If I'm Kendrick today, baby king. Pray for the day when the brothers gon' eat. Till the end, the motto was
I'm the Zorro of OCS.
Chat, what would you name everybody if y'all were to make y'all list?
I'm the Zorro.
What is everybody in OCS? Bro, why they put it up? On some chill cyan. Like, what? What does that even mean? Nas is Def Nami. Nas Jinbei. Nas Jinbei.
Yeah,
Nas
right.
Luffy.
Never. You don't keep
Arky's the
Jinbei.
how the fuck I'm Jinbei?
Jinbei's just like,
Arky
if
Usopp.
you know, you know. No, but Jinbei's cold, though. Niggas say Bon Clay is fucking idiots.
Watch Yu Yu Hakusho? Remember when we used to watch Yu Yu Hakusho in the BSB Discord?
Yeah.
Bruh. I'm
Slow down.
I'm damn near caught up with Yu Yu Hakusho. I still ain't finished it though. Not caught up, nigga. This shit ended, but you know what I'm saying? This nigga was too hard. Nigga, this shit was not mid. Nigga, this shit was not mid. This shit was hard, bro. And it was some different shit too.
Mid shit.
Hell no.
This shit's some slop. That shit ass.
This shit tough.
How they try to edit this shit still look mid?
This shit was
This is
tough.
just nostalgia, bro. That shit, that's not good.
Nigga, you a hoe. This is not nostalgia.
What the fuck am I looking at, bro?
Like, what do you send him, bro?
What the fuck was that?
What do you
Was
send
that
him,
an
bro?
eel? Was that a fucking worm?
Nigga, it look like
Is that even
a
real?
hand. It look like a hand in a sock. That's what it look like. It look like his hand was in the sock.
But how the fuck a nigga fit in that hole?
6 million? Bro, anything could blow up, bro. That ass. Anything could blow up.
This is peak.
Wait.
Oh yeah, you gotta get fucked.
Was that the first episode? No. Nah, I
forgot.
can't watch that, bro. I can't watch that. Wait, what? Check out this clip of Zoil.
Peak. This is real peak. This is real peak. People who don't like the show, they just not tap. They just don't like. They just can't see life for what it is. They don't like real life.
Like stories, bro.
This is real life, bro. This is really how life goes, bro. Think about history. This is real history. This is real
I might
shit, bro.
rewatch.
I'm like, this shit is peak, bro. Whenever I get a girlfriend, I'm watching that show with her. Until then, nigga.
What if she don't fuck with it?
Then she's not my girlfriend. I'm about it. And we sitting there watching that shit, and she's like, I don't like this. All right, but we breaking up.
So nigga, y'all is not saying that.
I'm a grown ass man,
Yeah.
nigga.
This nigga not saying.
Yes, I am. Why does it look like that? Is this fake?
Nigga, that's AI, bro.
No, it's not.
That shit AI.
Are you sure?
That shit AI.
Are you sure?
The AI ASMR.
I think it's just a hot knife. Like the knife is 1,000 degrees.
The hot knife gonna make it jellify?
Yes, because it burns it so fast that it becomes floppy.
Oh.
Like actually, it's like a hot knife. You know what I'm saying?
Like the 1,000-degree challenge they used to do?
Yes,
Oh,
yes. Like it burns so fast that it becomes like watery, and it's like jello water because it's burning too fast.
You can't do that. A thousand degree
cut
knife
skin,
challenge.
nigga.
What?
Yep.
Who you nominate?
You.
What the fuck?
Let me see if we can go past the color black.
Oh, fuck you.
Far to the west.
Oh, no.
This is peak.
I rewatched this 3 times.
What is this?
Full of fruit trees.
Is this Vinland?
And grassy meadows covered
Is this
with
Vinland Saga?
as far as the eye can see. Finland, Thorfinn.
Yes.
Remember
I couldn't recognize. I mean, I did recognize it, but the animation looks a little off at the beginning.
Bro,
That's such a sour taste. Well, I don't want.
niggas watch Vinland, but they ain't really watch Vinland, bro. Cause like, if you didn't like, bro, season 2 is where the real story began.
I fucked with season 2.
Most niggas didn't like season 2, but season
Will
2
we
is
ever
like the
get
real
season
story.
3,
Season
bro?
1 was just like that.
That's the
like
true
the
question.
preview, bro. So if you don't like season 2, then you was really not liking Vinland, bro. You gotta slow down. I'm just keeping it stacked.
They was tapped in. They was tapped in for the fighting. Nigga.
Yeah,
we was
bro.
tapped in for the journey.
Come on, bro.
Journey to Vinland, bro.
We can create that place.
We can create that place. We need. Let's make a OSC.
Who is your gun girl, bro? What are you linking?
Yeah, so we can get.
We got some fucking Full Metal Alchemist.
We gotta tap outside. You know what I'm saying, bro? What
Is this
other,
the
what other
original?
people have done a movie?
No.
Think about it. What other people have done a movie, bro? We get an actual director, bro. That shit would be tough. And then y'all put in, y'all some hoes. Y'all some hoes. Because then when we make that movie and we get edits like this,
Humankind cannot gain anything
what I'm
without
saying?
first giving something in return.
you know what I'm saying?
To obtain something of equal value must be lost.
Oh, hold on. Someone said the Yosemite stream better be a Vinland edit.
We can do like a
Eddie
short
Alchemist's
story,
First law of equivalent
or like
exchange.
a short film. Whatever it's just a called.
In those days,
A short film.
we really believed
But a whole movie, that's crazy.
that to be the world's one.
Never mind. Already see it. Yeah.
We can do like a short film.
I couldn't take my eyes off of her. I thought to myself, how can something
My
so
dress up
beautiful
darling?
exist in this world?
No, I don't know.
It was like
that
she reached in and stole my heart. There, in that moment, I first understood what the word beautiful meant.
Damn.
Nothing else could describe her. So I don't say beautiful or pretty, unless it comes from the heart. Kitagawa, you look so beautiful today.
Is this it? Does this shit get sad at some point?
No idea what this even is.
Yeah, they both die. You saying this to Cat? Like, we actually saying this. Yeah. Hold on, Kelly said, "Let me put you on." Kelly, don't say no bullshit,
Chop,
bro.
nigga. That nigga's chopped.
You know how this nigga look?
Hell yeah. He chopped, nigga. I'm not lying. That nigga is ugly, man. You chopped his head.
Nigga said, "Let me put you on and send erase." Yo, you're late.
Bro, watch Summertime Rendering.
You put me on.
One Piece episode tomorrow, or not One Piece. Down to Down episode tomorrow.
Hold on. What was
Hey, no spoiler, bro. I gotta watch this one day.
Erased?
Yeah.
You didn't watch Erased?
I haven't seen any love shows other than Oregayu.
Oh shit. Hold on. Yeah, Blue Box's peak. Yeah, that nigga know game, bro. Let me look up a Blue Box edit. Blue.
What is a blue box? I need something else, bro.
Let me see something.
I need something else.
This shit's up. See, this is not giving it no justice, though. This shit's up.
Kai, during his Mafia thought he...
What's up, DJ Benzio? Welcome back to the Mafia.
Oh, they got this. 10 gifted bed vibrator, 20 gifted equals bubbles, 50 gifted siren, 100 gifted drummer.
Fast, you dirty pig. Stop snoring. Says Dre Drizzy. Thanks for the sub.
Every 2,500 gifted total subs, Raging
Welcome back to
Bull.
the team.
That's insane.
Turn up the music. Turn up the what? Let's get this party started.
I don't think he's gonna hit a mill till the very end. It's gonna be people pushing him to a mill. There's like no gifts happening in chat anymore.
I'm just getting warmed up, you know. I can't believe we're still on the loading screen. Why haven't you pressed the start button yet?
I cannot believe this motherfucker is still doing
What's
this.
up, Emilio? Thanks for the resub. Big
5
38
gifted?
months.
Why would you even
That's
get
a
5?
W. Shout out to Jenksy in the chat.
No point, because you need the 10.
Big up to Carlos guy. That's a lot of bits, you know. Maybe I should use those for some new suit upgrades or something. Shout out to JCR. Thanks to the community gifted. How's it going, I am Zeke? Dodo Lee, thanks for the sub. Where is my prime subbers at? Big ups to Only Kyra. Still looking for Brooklyn Visions Academy? Sorry, I can't do that on command. Big up to Flexaholic. Nice to meet you, Mice Dog. Thanks for the sub. Shout out to Ace the Spaceman, your boy Moses. And 4 Palms, thanks for the sub. Sure would be nice to hear some type of drum solo right about now. Whoa, Damo, thanks to the 5 community gifted.
Yo, because he took a shower and thought that, I don't know. He lying, he be in his meat chat.
Seems like some.
What game is this?
What's up guys, welcome back to another No Man's Sky video, and today I'm going to show you how you can make the most out of the brand new Voyagers update. This is going to help you a little bit more if you're looking to get a lot more parts, create some insane abominations like this space robot, because let's be honest, yeah, the level of customization you have just with the parts right now is off the charts. But before we jump in, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video has been brought to you by War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. War Thunder is available to play for free right now on PC, consoles, and mobile. With over 2,500 historically accurate tanks, aircraft, and warships from 10 major nations, you'll pilot everything from early biplanes to supersonic jets and more, spanning a century of military engineering, all rendered with unparalleled realism and authentic sound design, making every perfect shot that much more satisfying thanks to the game's complex hitbox system and detailed X-ray mode, which show the internal damage to your opponent's vehicle in real time. There's also a large community behind the game as well, with over 95 million players you can engage with in epic PvP battles, from a fast-paced arcade mode to a realistic mode. case with most of this through the space station and going via these teleporters and heading over right here to these brand new terminals. And on your first visit, assuming that this is the first time you get here, you're likely not going to have any Corvette parts, so you cannot create a Corvette just yet. One of the first things you can go ahead and do is purchase some of the starter basic modules right from here. They can be quite costly, mind you, so you do need to have at least a few million just for your starter ship, but it's still going to be good enough. However, if you want a lot more base parts like these, you're going to have to go out there and explore. And there are a few ways in which you can get more of these ship parts. However, in my opinion, the best and quickest right now is by just getting salvage containers. Essentially, what you have to do is pay attention to any planet that features salvageable scrap right here at the top of the resources in the list. Once you go here on the planet surface, what I recommend doing straight from the ship that you just crafted is you can actually go ahead and open up the bay and scan the planet straight from your ship. You no longer have to go to the planet surface and land before you do this. So this is going to help a ton with the farming method. And from here, just use your scanners and pay attention to any of these salvage containers you see buried underground. They will appear with a yellow icon. So once you spot at least one of these, and assuming that one is further away from you, what you can do is just mark it and then go back to the pilot seat and get your behind over there. And from this point on, you are free to just skydive to it. Yes, there's going to be a brand new animation and completely new physics at play over here, which I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love. So that is also part of the new update. However, you also have a neat teleporter back at your bay that you can take, which is going to transport you directly below the ship at the ground level. So this is going to make it much quicker. From this point on, we're just gonna make our way towards the container, grab our terrain manipulator and dig everything up. Once you destroy it, this is going to give you one Corvette part for every salvage container you destroy, so this is going to likely take a while. As far as I can see, it seems that the drops that you get are going to all be random, so this is going to take a while, which is why I recommend it to just rinse and repeat everything I just told you. Additionally, you're going to notice that below your ship at the ground level, now you're always going to find this quick range teleporter, so you can more easily get back to your ship when you're on the ground level instead of having to fly up or call it towards you. However, these are not the only way in which you can get these modules. You can also get them, but at random, from defeating pirates, completing missions, even sending frigates into expeditions. However, I don't recommend this as a primary source. It takes hours upon hours to finish one expedition, and in this case, out of the 10 I was doing on 2 different cycles, only 2 of these modules were provided by 2 of the expeditions. So it's something I recommend having in the background, but don't resort to it as a primary source. Additionally, you can also take on derelict freighters. What you can do is basically just go all the way at the end to the final terminal, which now has an option to fabricate an additional set of items, which is Corvette modules. And in this case, it gave me 3 Corvette modules, 2 of which were duplicate, but it may be possible to get 4 or up to 5, though don't quote me on that one. So that is why I think that the salvage version is the best. However, at the end of this, you're still going to have quite a lot of duplicates, and you're not going to want to maybe use all of them. That is why in this case, next thing you're going to want to do is try your luck and trade in your existing modules with the ones back at the terminal at the space station. So if you go over here, you're going to notice that the workshop has an extra option. When you go over the purchase modules, you can also go ahead and trade advanced modules. So in this case, it's all going to be based on chances. Each of the items will have a different chance to make that trade successful, and this largely depends, I guess, on the item and possibly on the space station as well. So before you actually fill all of the 3 slots with what you trade in, I recommend testing each of your items one by one. Like for example, in my case, one of the generators was accounting for a 92% chance to make the trade successful, and I didn't really need it, so in this case I performed it. But even if you have a lower chance like 30%, it may still be worth it. Have a different chance, a lot of duplicates, and you're not going to want to maybe use all of them. That is why in this case, next thing you're going to want to do is try your luck and trade in your existing modules with the ones back at the terminal at the space station. So if you go over here, you're going to notice that the workshop has an extra option. When you go over the purchase modules, you can also go ahead and trade advanced modules. So in this case, it's all going to be based on chances. Each of the items will have a different chance to make that trade successful, and this largely depends, I guess, on the item and possibly on the space station as well. So before you actually fill all of the 3 slots with what you trade in, I recommend testing each of your items one by one. Like for example, in my case, one of the generators was accounting for a 92% chance to make the trade successful, and I didn't really need it, so in this case I performed it. But even if you have a lower chance like 30%, it may still be worth it to make the offer. Like in one of the cases, I was able to actually complete that successfully despite only having a 1 in 3rd chance to do it. So try your luck, you never know, and once you do it, you have that item for good. But let's keep on going because there are quite a few tips that I have for you if you want to make your ship look a little bit neater. And one is that you can actually overlap a lot of these parts with one another without actually breaking their functionality. So let me give you an example. In this case, I just placed one of these triangular outer hull parts and I didn't complete it with another version of it below it. Instead, what I did is basically I used this to hide all of the generators that I can also place on the ship. And there are multiple types of them, and the best part is that they can actually overlap with one another. So no, there's no restriction to putting them or stacking them on top of each other. So for example, I can grab the container module and place it in the same way but from a different anchor point, which is also going to cover them up and in my opinion just fits everything so neatly. Another thing you should note about everything here is that all of these major
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Type again, I'm not finding your shit.
Wow, oh man.
Check my logs. Check my logs. Oh, I found them.
Leech's Peak, ban that guy.
Look at the
Leech is the worst of the big 3.
Oh, nigga, send a clip, nigga. The My Teen romantic comedy. Do you want me to look it up? Like, what do you want me to do? It's good. I don't know if I'll see it though.
4.
I'm gonna make a song like this.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I need a peak romance anime. Maybe I'll start rizzing again.
Nigga, Blue Box.
I wanna watch fucking Blue Box, nigga. That for some reason that shit is pissing me off. That name is whack, nigga. The name is whack.
Nigga, it's
the name is
exactly
whack,
what it's exactly what you're trying to watch plus Haikyuu.
The name's whack.
That shit tough.
If it wasn't for the name, I'd watch it, bro.
What?
Bro, it's just sometimes, bro, you could just tell, bro.
Hello, guys and gals. Me
I've
and
not seen this
Udahar, and ladies
motherfucker
and
in
gentlemen,
so
I just
long.
want to talk about probably one of the greatest comebacks in a video game history.
One of
I'm
his
sure
is,
by the thumbnail
understand.
of this video, I'm sure you
My
probably
dog is-
figured out
my
what I'm
dad is
talking
so-
about. Man, Sky. Apparently, the number you're seeing here is probably the highest player count this game has had since the actual launch of the game. Now, normally, you know, a video game kind of starts off strong and just tapers off. But No Man's Sky is a little bit different. Now, to give you some context, I love space games. I'm a space slop enjoyer. You know, if you give me a game about flying to space, That's pretty much all I need, okay? I'm already half pitching a tent just thinking about it. I played every single space game that's pretty much come out. Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen. I even played with some EVE Online. Then I got really into using Microsoft Excel for a while. And then, of course, No Man's Sky. Now, No Man's Sky, I think we all know has had a pretty troubled launch, okay? We all know the story 9 years ago when this game dropped. Almost 10 years. We're getting old. No Man's Sky had probably one of the coolest release trailers. Like, this is one from E3 2014. I remember watching this with Amaru and Kyle, and I was pitching a tent. I was excited. I was ready to experience a
This is like
space swap
2016
game.
or some shit.
I mean, it had a
dude.
whole world you walked around, which wasn't that big of a deal. But of course, towards the later half, you start seeing dinosaurs and shit. And then you actually board a ship, fly out into the atmosphere, and then of course, you are actually going from planet to planet. I remember at the time, just the ability to kind of do that in a video game blew me away. You know, I grew up playing games like Freelancer and shit, where like, you know, you never really like transition from space to ground. That felt huge, you know? Usually an open world is like you're gonna
It
be
is
given
huge.
a loading
It
screen,
was
Skyrim
huge.
style, and then, you know, you get to the next zone. No. In this game, you never are in a loading screen. You literally go from a planet and go all the way to another planet. And I remember when this game came out, I went out, I found it a little bit early, I bought into the hype like many people. And I'm going to say it, even when this game came out, you know, for a while I was excited. You know, I played it, made like a 40-minute video on my channel all the way back then. And it immediately dawned on me that a lot of the stuff that was kind of built in this game wasn't really there. Now, of course, a lot of people can say that Sean Murray lied, he misrepresented the game. You know, I will say that obviously I think there was a lot of embellishment that happened at Hello Games. And, you know, people rightfully roasted the No Man's Sky team for it, because it was like, hey, you're going to tell us this game has X, Y, and Z feature, but we find out it maybe only has a little bit of the X feature, and Y and Z are nowhere to be found. I remember for a while, like, one of the big things that people kind of ragged on this was apparently, at the time, multiplayer was kind of talked about, but then players actually met in the real world and found out that, no, actually, the multiplayer doesn't exist, which was its own controversy, one that I remember pretty specifically. But you know what?
I remember
There's
all
two
of the early
choices that any
controversy.
game developer can do, okay? They can either not fucking work on the game and completely ignore it, and then the whole game dies right there, or you can always patch the game up and make a comeback. And you kind of seen it with like games like Cyberpunk 2077, where like launched absolute dog shit game on release. I think we all can agree it was definitely not perfect, especially if you were, God forbid, playing that on the consoles. But as time went on, they not only updated the game to add more features in, but they made an entirely amazing expansion pack. And then, of course, they even patched it beyond that. Now it's one of the best open world sort of like RPG experiences that I would highly recommend to anybody, okay? Not every game is capable of doing such a comeback. No Man's Sky, on the other hand, has been doing just that. Now, when this game dropped on Word version 1.0, I actually went back
Oh my
to this
god.
video.
Oh my god, I have that. I have that. I have that. I did midnight release for this, bro.
To play the original PlayStation release. And I'll tell you right now, I couldn't do it for more than an hour, just because the game was actually not that great, okay? It's a very bare bones experience, especially if you played recent No Man's Sky. In fact, it's so radically different in ways that even just the core
I'm going to shoot my pants now.
all new coaches. What is it going to look like? I've watched every game that Ben Arbuckle's called with John Mateer as his quarterback. Here's what they do. Every close game, when they're playing a tough opponent, they look at John Mateer and they say, you have to be Superman. 100% realistic expectation here. Assuming this game is competitive, I think John Mateer throws 35 to 40 passes and he runs the ball 20 times. That sounds insane, I'm aware, but it's actually their tendency. Look at Texas Tech. He ran the ball 21 times. Look at the Washington game. 34 pass attempts, 16 carries. San Jose State with an overtime game, 46 pass attempts, 18 carries. Boise State, they knew it was going to be a tough game. 37 pass attempts, 20 carries. Fresno State was a good team last year. 35 attempts, 18 carries. San Diego State was a close game. 27 attempts, 21 carries. Heading into this game, John Mateer is going to be asked to be Superman. He's going to run the ball in every way you can imagine. Power read, use sweep, quarterback draw, running on passes. The Oklahoma tailbacks and offensive line don't really strike any fear in you. I've had a few Michigan fans ask that realistic 46 pass attempts. Oh my god! We're down to the top 20, going 20 through 11, starting off with alright, you guys. We're down to the final. Alright, you guys, let's talk about my predictions for the
Wes_King is
2025
now
NFL
following.
season of